TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Hello and welcome to Bits and Pieces, the friendliest cricket podcast, and also very compliant with Sunil Gavaskar's mode of batting, because this is episode 161. You take a single, you hit a six, and obviously you take a single again, because what is wrong with you? The target is around 250, and we've managed to pull it off with some strife, same as this recording. Joining me, Tony, the Ravindra Jadeja of this podcast, who has happened to hit a boundary to score the winning runs. Rohit Sharma, Murali Sargopan, Shubman Gill, Vikku, and Virat Kohli, Prashant DP. actually, Prashant DP should be referred to as Jasprit Bumrah, because though no one mentioned him, this entire tournament is dedicated to Jasprit Bumrah, right? Who he just bowled into dust in Australia. That's the only reason why he's not here, and also it looked like half of a contest. So, welcome to all of them. We are recording literally about 30 minutes after India has pulled off that win. So, let's go for it. Around the table, starting with Jasprit Bumrah. PDB, what do you make of that tournament win? Conflicting emotions, I feel like, will belong to you. So,
why da? No conflicting emotions and all. Goa trip is finally over. Okay.
Credit card bill will come now. No, this is the problem.
Now, yeah. Fully hungover on Penny tomorrow morning. But it's funny. Clearly, India has been the best ODI team for some time now. I mean, you can say that for the last 4-5 years at least, they've been the best ODI team in the world, and they've finally won some. I don't know if you can even call it silverware. Maybe we should call it tupperware, because the company itself is going out of business. Dying format.
Steel plateware.
Steel plateware.
Extricated from pressure cooker situations.
Yeah. So I mean, they finally have something to show. For
okay. Key stat PDP. Apparently, I happened to catch a glimpse of whatever post-match thing was happening, and one of the hosts/guests was mentioning that India has won. I'm guessing this is ODI and T20s included, the last 23 of the last 24 ICC tournament matches it's played. So that's the World Cup, T20 World Cup plus this tournament. That is 3 tournaments in which India has literally lost one match. And that's the only thing that we remember. Yeah. Like some self-flagellating set of fans. But yeah, we won the steel plate. Let's throw it to our smooth criminal who can pour oil on troubled waters. Vikku, what do you make of this?
So before this episode started, I was discussing with Murali about the modulus function in mathematics. So I think had we lost this match, it would have been kind of -7. So the modulus would have been 7. Now that we won it, it seems like a +3. Right. So while at an absolute level, I would have been more disappointed had we lost this. But having won this one, I think the feeling is of slightly underwhelmed. Seems like a tournament which it was only played between 8 teams. India were playing all their matches at their home grounds as per Atherton and Hussain. While the game today was fairly interesting and could have gone either way, I still feel a little underdone by this entire tournament because it promised a lot more. But barring probably the match between England and Australia and the finals today, all the games were fairly one-sided. So not complaining, happy that we have won, but it's a tournament which offered a lot. But yeah, ultimately slightly disappointed.
The summation of this tournament is actually modulus, which is that India was literally playing against itself, right? And Young's modulus is not Will Young's modulus from New Zealand. It is just stress versus strain that we've been feeling with this wonderful team that has done all sorts of things. So much so that New Zealand's best player today was Ian Smith. So let's throw it to you, Taik and Murali Sadgopan. You're joining us on the pod after a while, I think. What does it feel like?
Yeah, I came like 2 episodes ago now, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, like, that's all right. I
Just like
actually-
Shreyas Iyer, when did he last play a match-winning innings?
I was talking about KL Rahul, who said, "Hey, I just played well. And then a few days, I'm dropped. I come back, people have forgotten about me." So that's how I feel. So 2 episodes ago, I came, but people are like, "You've come after a long time." To me, I like this tournament win as a reference of another tournament, which is the 2023 World Cup. Like, because of that 50-over tournament loss at home, with all the setup that was perfectly done, the fact that it kind of looks like we won an away tournament, even though it feels like a home tournament because of the way we conducted it, I just still think that the win, despite it being, in a city that is not in the host country, I still think is a significant win. And I felt like the matches were not like handed to us on a platter. It was not like we were the better team, but not like by leaps and bounds. So at least felt like a little competitive in most games. It felt like the win
Hey,
deserved
which
it.
match felt competitive?
I think the Australia game was pretty competitive. It wasn't like it was a straight out win. There was some good innings there. Before that, the leagues were set up for an India-Pakistan game. So I'm not going to measure what we can get out of it. And we helped New Zealand, so that felt great. But for Rohit and Kohli's redemption arc, I think it was great. A semi-final mind-blowing innings, a final mind-blowing innings. It feels like this tournament gave paisa vasool for me. As for the win in itself, I am aligned with Vikku on the fact that, yeah, it's a +3, which is not as good as a +7, but still not a 0.
I mean, this is interesting, right? Because you mentioned KL Rahul, and KL Rahul's problem is the inverse of your problem, right? KL Rahul is like you, is measured by the last comment he makes. The last comment was not irrespective of how well I played. It was that I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on TV, but I was shitting my pants. Right? This is also the Indian fans' problem, where we cruise to. Guys, it's not a small deal to win 23 out of 24 matches
No,
across
it's not.
ICC tournaments. Given that there is a fucking overlap with 15 losses or something. And the guy, PDP, I'm throwing it to you because the guy who went and placed the trophy in Dubai was Aaron Finch, not someone from Pakistan, because he apparently won the last ICC trophy in Dubai. And let's remember, he won that trophy only because he won all the fucking tosses, right? So.
But on the subject of this Aaron Finch nonsense, I think the 2023 World Cup was brought in by Owen Morgan because he was the captain who won it last. Okay, so if that is the system, then it is yet another example of pettiness, absolute pettiness, to not even allow the defending champions, who are also the host nation, to even just bring the trophy on stage. I mean that if that was the deal, and I really don't know why it played out that way, but I mean that's in keeping with this entire tournament itself. So maybe it was fitting in that sense that you randomly find some retired guy and say that you won the last tournament played here, therefore you will bring the tournament. That's absolute BS.
Yeah. No, so now that PDP is also done shitting his pants, let's get to things that actually matter. Like, like how India have played this entire tournament, right? And literally, it's the only unbeaten side. It's beaten New Zealand twice. It's not the first time New Zealand is playing in Dubai. They won the toss. They tried to bat first, as opposed to last time when they bowled first. It was, I don't think the win predictor at any time was more than 50% in New Zealand's favor. It was a thoroughly phenomenal performance, including the one against Australia. As a neutral fan, precise reason they hate this tournament and most ICC events is that India have just been too good. And honestly, given this batting lineup that we have and whatever, 4 spinners plus Shami and a little bit of Hardik, which team can beat India in ODIs right now?
I remember a video by Jared Kibber approximately 5 months back discussing India's decade of dominance at home. And he came up with a hypothetical team which could beat India, in test matches at home. Exactly 2 weeks later, Tony's favorite team lands up on India shores, thrashes us 3-0, and the entire video is now tossed. Right, so it's a hypothetical discussion, but I still believe the 2023 World Cup team that we had was on paper a team which was better than this. The only difference between the team that we have today versus that team was
Is
the
Bumrah.
count of all-rounders.
Is Bumrah.
I think one yeah. The other forgotten thing about the 23 World Cup is that we lost Hardik midway, and we had to make a few compromises in terms of who we
That's
bat
when
instead.
Shami came
or-
in.
Yeah. But yeah, having these four bat at positions 5 to 8, I think is a great luxury, especially playing in Dubai or playing in the subcontinent. It's a massive advantage to have.
Yeah. No, and this is, I think, like you touched upon an interesting thing there is that everyone like looks at other teams and says, oh, how can they perform well? Their best guy has gone out, right? And India's case is precisely the opposite. You actually lost Hardik while he was trying to field a ball and like put his foot out or whatever, which led to Shami coming in and like picking like, I don't know, 5-4-3 fifers. And in this tournament also, we didn't start with Varun Chakravarti, right? I don't think Varun Chakravarti has played too many one-day matches or tournaments, and that, in some senses, defines why India is going to be unbeatable across formats where it's league-based and not knockout-based, right? And I think giving Rachin Ravindra the man of the series was some kind of compromise as consolation and consolation in some senses, because there were so many stars for India in this tournament, right? It was not carried by one single person. So, PDP, your thoughts and reflections on India's amazing bench strength, depth, and realistically, how does anyone beat India over a 5-match series?
First of all, I mean, I don't know how many 5-match ODI series we will have in the future, but yeah, the question is a valid one. I think this Indian team will rank very favorably among the all-time great ODI dynasties. No, whether it was Steve Waugh, Ponting, or whether it was Clive Lloyd, Viv Richards. I mean, Viv Richards actually never won a World Cup. But yeah, Clive Lloyd won 2. This team is as dominant as those teams were in their eras. It's a perfectly valid question. I just feel bad that for their dominance, what they are left with is just a steel plate. It's they deserved so much more. If you look at what's happened from the 2015 World Cup, the 2019 World Cup, the 2023 World Cup, all those 3 World Cups put together, I think they've lost only 3 or 4 games, which is mind blowing. It's like over 10 years of World Cups, you've just lost like just a handful of games. It's been an amazing era.
Yeah, even the 2017 Champions Trophy for that matter, right? I guess
Yeah.
only the
They
final
lost,
was
they lost the
Undefeated,
final.
undefeated.
Yeah. Yep.
In fact, you can count on your fingertips the games that we have lost since 2015. 15,
Yeah.
we lost the semis versus Australia. 17, we lost the finals. 19, we lost a couple
the
of games, one a
Yeah.
league game against England, and then
Against
the
Pakistan.
semis. And then
Correct.
23, the finals. Yeah. So just averaging
Yeah.
probably just one game per tournament.
Yeah.
5 games.
Yeah. No. So instead of this analysis paralysis, let me try to put a different spin on it and then like throw it open to the funniest person of the 4 of us, Murali, which is saying something because all 4 of us are really funny, me especially. But referring back to something that I pulled up on the previous episode, right, is that the only set of people who think New Zealand are capable of doing anything are Indians, because for some weird statistical quirk, they turn up against us and like do weird shit things. Whereas they're really a terrible team, man. Like nothing continues to make sense. Like today, like
Fuck,
someone
here we go
mentioned,
again.
even Jimmy Neesham is not staying up and supporting them, right? Like in the first innings, the match was over long before India batted, right? Like when New Zealand was in the 40th over, this was how much the match was over. That neutral, scared commentator Harsha Bogle literally asked Ian Smith, "Bro, you're a man of many words, but I haven't heard you speak in the last 30 minutes. Like you should speak at least 2 minutes so they give you your check for this commentary stint, right?" That is how bad it got. So laying it back to Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman and their Nobel Prize winning concept around prospect theory, which is that humans value losses twice as much as they value wins. What is this random nonsense? Like we are not even happy that India has won a damn tournament when all of our childhood trauma is based on some random ODI tournaments that we've lost here and there, right? Like, it's not even like we went into test match series expecting wins. It is all based on some random ODI trauma. What is this Murli Sadgopit? Like, what does it speak of us as a people? Like, we just want to wallow in self-pity and write tragic songs because feel is so much more. And the feel,
Exactly.
like,
I'm telling you, no, it's dramatic to cry. There is no dramatic laugh. It's dramatic when you make a whole scene. And it's so sad. Like, it felt so sad to watch Modi's face on that stage that day, just to watch him standing there waiting for Cummins to come. And Cummins, even though that's half of his name, is coming really slowly. He's just taking his time to walk up to the stage to pick up the trophy because it doesn't matter to him. And that's the beauty of it. Then the guys went to they went to get a beer, one went back and went to sleep. Like, it didn't matter to them. Most of those things are exactly that matters too much. It matters too much that we whine too much about it. I think we are at this point where right now with this trophy, right? We had to beg people to turn up today. People didn't care. We won something. Okay. What is happening on like English Premier League? What is happening in like Women's Premier League somewhere? They didn't care as much. So I think we are at this stage right now. What you're saying is the ideal state. We shouldn't care too much and allow it to like traumatize us. Of course, some of us are weird, emo, whatever people we are that we get attached to these things. But I think we're in a happy place right now. And we have a great team. We have a great bloody team that it's good to watch them beat teams, like thump them. It's great. So it's okay to occasionally take, I think, one loss out of 10 years. It's fine.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? Prashant, throwing it to you, whether it's cricket or cinema. Requited love, unwon trophies, and 96 is the essence of life. Like, happiness is fleeting, it is momentary. If you win the love of your life, it is one wedding photograph. If you win a World Cup, it is one photograph. But unrequited love and loss is forever. And it makes careers like Vijay Sethupathi. What is your thought?
So basically you are describing the World Test Championship. Okay.
Kane Williamson finally makes an appearance on this podcast.
So you are describing World Test Championship, which did not happen, which looks like it will never happen also in the future. It's bizarre. Okay. We watched all bloody Pepsi Cup and Coca-Cola Cup and Will's World Series and all that growing up, and we would get excited for the final. We would talk about Tendulkar's Desert Storm, which was just some random triangular tournament which had no context, just randomly put together. And here is an actual ICC event that India's actually won, and we're like very, blah about it. Like it doesn't seem to matter at all. I can't even. Maybe we've just. Yeah.
So this is literally it, right? Like, there was this meme, I think, on Reddit or something, where this woman talks about how her husband is a novelist, and basically in each of his novels there will be a character called Julian who is horrible and dies in funny / horrible ways, right? And Julian happens to be this woman's ex-boyfriend, and the husband knows this name. Therefore, in every novel he writes, like, Julian will be a terrible person who dies in weird ways. I feel like this is therapy for me. It finally explains my fascination for Kane Williamson. Vikas Singh, as a representative of the unknowledgeable North Indian crowd, what is your take on this whole thing?
Not much. I've been waiting for your long rant on what a shitty New Zealand is.
No.
Stop this charade.
Today is the day when the tiger actually jumps out of the bushes and rips Shikari Shambhu to shreds. Okay? Like, there is no coconut randomly falling on the tiger's head. There is no. Yeah. The tiger did its business today.
No doubt. For uninitiated listeners, I've long since called New Zealand the Shikari Shambhu of cricket teams, which is that they, like, some random quirk of fate happens, like one day semi-final happens over 2 days, and then like suddenly India raid for 3 and then they lose. Or like some WTC final happens in which they were never meant to have qualified, but only qualified because Australia cancelled their final series against South Africa. And in the India match, their over-counting coach was on Christmas leave and they ended up 2 overs short and copped a negative penalty point, which is the only reason New Zealand made it to the WTC finals, which they won, etc. etc. No, but today is a day of magnanimity. I'm throwing it back to you, Vikku. Like KL Rahul taking that single to allow Jadeja to hit the winning. As a person who travels the length and breadth of the country studying consumer sentiment in tier 2, tier 3 cities across India, including South India, you tell us what will make the average Indian happy.
So right now, I feel a bit like KL Rahul was during the post-match presentation. He was, 10% happy, 90% just chilled out because it's a random tournament that we have won. More relieved than happy. Yeah, it's something which had to be done, and it's done now. But yeah, like you said, on that thing about New Zealand being lucky and all that, I'll probably beg to differ slightly. I think. Coming back to today's game, it was one where there were multiple moments during India's innings that I thought New Zealand, had they got that slight bit of extra killer instinct to their game, they could have had their noses in front. So this is when we lost a couple of wickets when the opening partnership was going on fairly well. We lost a couple of quick wickets. I think New Zealand had a chance there. Then again, we got a small partnership. Then again, when Akshay got out, again, New Zealand could have clawed their way back into the game. They couldn't. But, they're an okay team. I wouldn't probably rate them as low as you do. They're an okay team. They have...
Vikku, once again. Did you watch the first innings? And you do know India dropped 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 catches?
Five catches.
Something like that to make this match even close to competitive.
India is so much ahead of fuck New Zealand, fuck any other team. We are head and shoulders above any other ODI team that has ever existed, that we can afford to have no Bumrah. We can afford to drop those 5-6 catches. We can afford to have Kohli get out of the first ball and yet win this match fairly comfortably. So it was always going to be a no contest. New Zealand are an okay side. They've had the rub of the green in a few contests over the past 5-6 years. But again, stood absolutely no chance. And we discussed in the last pod as well. It went out exactly as we discussed. It went out exactly as planned for India. We did lose a couple of wickets in between. But then, like I said, New Zealand were going to be absolutely no match for us. So in terms of what would make an Indian fan happy, so I think there is a pegging order of ICC trophies. So I think the ODI World Cup is right.
Did you say, wait, once again, did you say pecking or pegging order? Both are different things. Not that I'm judging if you're into pegging, but...
Okay, there is an order.
No, when it comes to BCCI, I feel like pegging order is a better description of what they want to do.
Okay. There's a pecking order of ICC trophies. The ODI World Cup is right up there. It's still the one crown that everyone aspires to wear. I think right now it's closely followed by either the World Test Championship or the T20 World Cup. Then there is 50 foot of crap, and then there is the shitty cup that we have won. So I think PDP put it nicely when he said it's the steel plate. It's like the wooden spoon. You won something, but you can only eat porridge with it, nothing else.
I mean, it's been like I think an hour now since we stopped watching TV. Has anyone retired, guys? I mean, everyone was talking.
I did not see where that was going now. Well done. Well done.
So no one is fucking retired, man. We're still... One second. You are asking, no, Tony, what will it take to beat India? Okay, so what is happening is that you have a team which was great, but which is actually full of flaws. Okay, you have an opening batter who cannot bat through the innings. You have a number 3 who cannot play spin. Okay, and who gets out to second slip for fun. It's not as though your team is perfect. Mohammad Shami is nearing the end of his career.
No, he's there only because of willpower, nothing else.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, these are not small issues. And now that you won this and there is this whole wave of euphoria, people are talking about hashtag 2027 dream and all that. it looks like these guys are going to continue for another couple of years. In which case, I honestly see this era ending from sheer ravages of time-based
Yeah, it'll
reasons.
collapse under its own weight. Yeah, there is
It will
nothing else
absolutely.
which can bring it down. Yeah.
I did not know that Hardik Pandya is a new ball bowler regularly in ODIs. Ra.
Yeah, exactly.
I got the memo only like 2 weeks ago. What is happening where this guy
Yeah,
just like walks up, ambles on, and says, "Okay, I'm sending down new ball bowling." Like he barely could bowl for the
yeah,
longest period of time. The camera was tired of zooming on his shoulder to check if it was okay. As if through
yeah,
the
yeah.
jersey, you can do an X-ray every time. They used to keep checking, is he going to bowl? And then he'll just do one shake like this and go back to the field again.
No
Now he's
fun.
bowling properly and he's hitting runs like he's smacking like 100-meter sixes like there's no tomorrow. This team, like you said, had so many flaws and people consistently delivered above their weight. And Kale delivered exactly his weight. So it was perfectly like what we required for us to be able to make it just till the end.
Yeah. Guys, one thing that has stayed consistent with this podcast is how much we hate R. Ashwin and anything associated with him. So much so that his associate and analyst P Dog had a beautiful cultural sentiment that he expressed, which is that men will chase different women and finally marry someone their parents agree to, and then you'll be like, hey, who cares about Aishwarya Rai? Neet Andi and Aishwarya Rai, like to whoever they marry, right? Ours is the entire opposite, where it's a podcast where boys will be boys, and we are basically saying, enakoru girlfriend venameda, and then you are looking at everything and saying dating is a fantasy, right? Like we only look at unrequited love and say that is like whatever I've got is not enough. I want more. I want something different. None of this is going to last, right? And in that sense, I think we should move on from India and New Zealand for a bit to look at the other teams in this tournament also, right? Like, and realistically, who could have won? If Australia won, it would just have been very annoying. Not even Australia wanted to win this. Their frontline bowlers, like Sandy G pointed out, opted out because of personal views, not even personal reasons. Vikku, to your point, Mitchell Stark apparently opted out because Afghanistan were in the tournament. I don't know, one of those things. On the other side, New Zealand come into every tournament. They come into every other tournament. They have no intention of winning. They just find themselves in the finals for some random reason to do it. Pakistan would have wanted to win the tournament, but there was realistically no way they would have won it. India obviously wanted to win the tournament. Apparently, did so many things behind the scenes to put the thumb on their scale so much so that Peter De La Pena is not watching the tournament. What a loss. Peter, please come back. Don't leave cricket like this, please. We are missing you. We are missing your red circles. Glenn Phillips has to put extra action to be noticed by the world because your red circles are not there. Please come back. And England, let's face it, is England. But let's talk about South Africa for a minute, guys. Like, phenomenal team. Their parts are amazing, but also they punch higher than the sum of their parts. But when it comes to the final stage, you always find them stumbling, right? Like there was no reason for them to not be in the finals with India, at least. What is it with South Africa? And given that they are hosting the 2027 World Cup, what does South Africa need to do to turn this around?
The serious response to your question is, I think an interesting.
We'll edit this out.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. No, so the non-serious response is the bloody coconut fell on their head, Ra. That's what happened.
Tell us.
No. So the serious response to your question is that Jared has actually put out this interesting bit of analysis where he talks about the fact that whether you want to call it choking or any other such kind of word, what invariably happens to South Africa in these kind of games is that they bat a little bit more conservatively than they normally do. And that basically puts them at a disadvantage. And that's why they've struggled in all these games. That said, I have never seen Rachin Ravindra bowl better than he did in that game. I thought the ball was coming beautifully out of his hand. I thought he bowled really well.
Hey, some small sample set problem is there, but okay. Is that
they were conservative, right? The partnership between Bavuma and they were going at 5 and over for the longest time.
Yeah, they're chasing 350 and they were going at 5 and over. and that's basically his thesis. And he said that this you can notice across ICC tournaments and across these big games. But they have a great squad and they have a great team, and I really thought they would go further than they did.
Yeah. No, the other thing about South Africa is that they've always prided themselves in the kind of quality they had when it came to all rounders. And ever since Kallis retired, they haven't had anyone batting at 6-7 who can give them those 4-5 overs. So Jansen he's young. I think he's more of a bowler than a batter. I still believe his batting has some distance to travel, but they always fight themselves, one batter shot when they are 5 down, 6 down in these clutch games.
I don't know if it's the batting because I feel like their batting is rock solid. I mean, yeah, maybe right 6-7 part, but I think it's they have Keshav Maharaj, a couple of good bowlers, but that's it. That's really all they can boast of, right? I think that's the part, especially in these kind of tournaments. I don't know if they'd be able to hold through the middle overs. I mean, today, like he said, even though it was a small sample set, Rachin was pretty good. Santner was really good. They were able to at least hold the middle overs. I don't know if they have a bowling squad like that even. So I think there are some holes.
Let me just remind you,
squad.
opening the bowling attack for India is Hardik Pandya.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this is too strong a team that even Hardik Pandya comes in like he's a bigger bowler than he is.
Yeah, they were ravaged by injuries, South Africa. So they have Kodzia and Nokia who are both injured. So
I keep
the
forgetting.
two of them plus Rabada, it's a gun bowling attack. So they were playing Lungi because the other two were injured. So very good side, but unfortunately ravaged by injuries.
Yeah.
No, so I actually expect them to do much better in South Africa in 2027.
Cool. Pop quiz time. I also don't know the answer. Which is the next ODI tournament with more than 3 matches in it?
There's a tri-series happening between India, Sri Lanka and South Africa or something, right?
Correct. I also
Oh, that's not T20s?
No.
No.
Yet it'll turn into T20s.
No. It is Vijay Sethupathi 96 style triangular tournament sponsored by
in Sharjah.
in Sharjah.
Singer Cup.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if we're going to cover the series, but let's maybe spend a bit of time talking about ODI as a format, right? I think for a period of time, there was certain thing that Test cricket was dying. Then we realized it's not dying because it's exciting. Then T20 cricket obviously is not dying. Therefore, ODI was the format to go. But I've largely enjoyed the series. What do you guys think is the future of ODI cricket? Like, is it going to die or is it just going to be like one?
I am going to interrupt you, Tony. I'm going to interrupt you and ask one question: how you could move past? Is Gautam Gambhir exempted? Is this it? Like he's exempted? Is he now? He got piles of shit, right? Is he exempted now? Like the team is good. We've talked about the team. Is Gautam Gambhir exempted? Has he done his duties? Has he delivered on his promises? What's your take? The change?
No, so I think what we spoke about on the last episode about Baz and like teams wanting probably the same manager across formats. So are we judging? I don't know. I mean, I feel like Gambhir didn't put a step wrong in this tournament, including and especially not playing Pant, right? And Pant, let's face it, was forced in there by Agarkar. Gautam Gambhir wanted Sanju Samson there and he didn't get him. So he made sure Pant stayed the fuck out of the tournament, right? Brilliant. So I don't know. I don't fault him this tournament too much, including the introduction of someone like Varun Chakravarti, exclusion of Pant, keeping Washington Sundar out of it. All said and done, I mean, was there any match where India was in trouble? Don't tell me today. We were never in trouble. Not even a single match.
In trouble, never. It was kind of evenish, but we definitely looked the better side. Even today, at no point were we threatened. I think it was made 93 of 93, where some of us literally like our eyes opened a little bit more. Oh, we have to be awake for this match now. And then before we know it, Hardik Pandya completely shut everything out, and then it was over. So I don't see a time where India were ever behind in this series.
But it's an interesting point. Let's talk about Gambhir. What do we feel about Gambhir?
I am, the question to you was somehow this, when you point four fingers point at you, there's a question like I am pointing to myself and asking Murali, what the fuck do you feel right now? Do you continue to pile on him because he's doing things right?
see, to continue the dating analogy, right? It's like when men are in love with a woman, or like at least when boys are in love with girls, you are
No,
like
so wait, stop. You are starting to answer a question about Gautam Gambhir, and you are starting off by saying when boys are in love. I cannot wait to hear where you're going with this.
yeah. So then don't stop me, no fucker.
No, continue
No.
that.
So you're like, you reach a point where you're like really frustrated with this girl who's not responding to your text. Like she either sends a K or a or a thumbs up, and you're like, fuck, what is this? I have some self-respect, except you actually don't. And you're like, this is it. If you don't respond to my next text, I am never gonna text you again. And then like 20 minutes later, you're like, hey, I'm really serious. Like I'm guessing you're busy, but like. I am free this Friday. If you meet me, then we are on. Otherwise, no. And then like 30 minutes later, you're like, okay, I'm gonna block your number. And then there's a text back saying, let's meet Friday. And then you are like pulling out all the stops, right? So like the slightest amount of reciprocity is enough for you to forget everything in the past, right? So I feel like Gautam Gambhir has delivered something we haven't won since 2013, guys. So like obviously there is like that factor.
There's been only one tournament since 2013, macha.
We have not won.
Second Champions
We have
Trophy
not
since
won,
2013.
and we have lost in the final.
No, so I think it stares you in the face that he's had like a really shitty time in red ball cricket. I think he's been okay with white ball where
No,
it's
da, no,
mainly
da. He had Sri Lanka loss and all. No, he had a bunch of losses there also. He came from a spate of losses, and in general, I think that
Gambhir got lucky that Sri Lanka weren't playing this tournament.
PDP FYI, Sri Lanka won playing this
PDP,
tournament.
just to refresh your memory.
oh man.
you asked who retired from this tournament, right? Sri Lanka. Da. They were retired before the tournament. But to answer that question with a little bit more honesty, I think that maybe the team and him didn't know how to work together. And it seems totally possible with a dude like Gambhir. Like, we don't know what he's really saying when he's saying shit. So I think they took a while to decipher how to work with him. And I think he found a way to work with them too. But now it looks like
So,
everything he touches is gold.
Are we saying the change happened from when Gautam Gambhir came in, and from the dressing room, a certain off spinner from all rounder from Tamil Nadu walked out? Are we saying? I'm not saying this. I'm asking. Is that your insinuation, Murali?
The boss walked out and with utmost aplomb. Yeah, I think it's everything he's changing is great. He's bringing some, what is it, Harshit Rana, who we call with a different name. That guy is delivering. Everybody's delivering when they bring people in. I don't know. It feels good. I mean, I'm really happy that this team is winning, right? I mean, imagine, for example, I kept playing in my head at 93 of 93. Oh my God, remember that time, 2023 November. That feeling is going to come again. You're going to sit with this for a good few months about this before you move on to the next period of sadness. Like he said, that unrequited love and beautiful memories that it was already building up. The fact that we won was great. So I feel like I got to credit him for it. I don't want, forget piling. I want to give some, I don't know, compliments or credits to him.
Yeah, he's a good white ball coach. Still has some journey to travel in red ball, but I think he made some 3-4 tactical changes to this entire World Cup squad, which I think worked in our favor. I think one move which we didn't talk about enough was batting Aksar at 5. I failed to remember a single match in this tournament where Aksar didn't perform. He didn't go on to get a 50 even today or any of the earlier matches, but his contributions were valuable. That 27 of 30 balls that he played against Australia was, I think, one innings which changed the momentum, and his knock today as well, I think, was very, very valuable. So that was a good move. I think the experiment of bringing in Varun was slightly fortuitous, but I think kudos to him and Rohit for sticking with that plan for the remainder of the games. So playing with 4 spinners, batting Aksar at 5, having Jaiswal, in these sidelines, but sticking to Rohit and Gill as the opening combination, I think these are few things he got right.
PDP, any thoughts?
No, so I did think when they announced the squad that where are they going to play 4 spinners? It felt like an overkill, but he actually
Kudos to
made it
Jay
work.
Shah for finding the venue.
Day. But they actually made it work, and it was it's not obviously a long term thing. You're not going to probably see this again, but for this tournament, it was great to watch. It was fantastic.
No, but I mean, guys, talk to me about. I was not being facetious. Gambhir
Okay.
not playing Pant is a very strong call, right? Especially for someone
Yeah.
who has a very right hand,
Yeah.
left hand fetish, and
Yeah.
Pant
Yeah.
gives you both options. And let's
Yeah.
face it, KL Rahul is not even average behind the stumps, right? Like he's missing catches, he's missing stumpings, he's missing wides, he's missing buys. So yeah, talk to me about that. Like the people he didn't play. Like Pant was readily available. He was giving you a left-hand option, and most
Yashasvi
of
Jaiswal, yeah,
yeah,
was
not
yeah,
Jaiswal, but Pant. I feel like is more relevant because
yeah,
at least Jaiswal you had an excuse to keep him out. Pant, I
right.
don't know. I mean, I'm glad he did, but like, talk to me about that. Like, what do you
No,
think
I
about
mean
the
just
Pant excuse?
Even Ashdeep for
so
that matter.
there was this graphic today which showed KL Rahul in this tournament. It was like I think he's only been dismissed once in this tournament. He's kind of taken India over the line like on a bunch of different occasions with very useful 40 not out, 20 not out, 30 not out type knocks. And he had a great World Cup also in 2023. If you really think about it, Pant has got this X factor perception. Okay, but if you go purely on merit, KL Rahul's had a great couple of years in ODI cricket, and there's no reason to change it.
It's not just about
I don't
changing. I
even see
think
it as Pant versus KL, right? It is then like KL playing as a pure batsman and Pant versus any of the X number of all rounders that you have, right? In that sense.
for me, I think he had a huge benefit with Pandya back. He knows that that one extra bowling option is there with a proper batter down there. He felt like, I don't know, that Pant, again, this is probably Gambhir's thinking, that Pant sometimes doesn't tend to value his wicket. I think KL definitely puts a price on his wicket. Like he doesn't really get out to a stupid shot. In fact, he hasn't gotten that much out at all in this
Yep.
entire tournament. He's been able to carry his bat quite well through his innings, because of which we were able to shepherd our way his somebody, whoever was there at the other end, through to the finishing line. And I think, like he said, I think he backed his hypothesis that this is the way it should work. And he said, I'm not going to send a guy who could, fling at a wide ball and get out and then completely throw the match astray. So I think all of those were great calls. Harshit Rana was a great call, not playing Arshdeep and putting Varun Chakravarti in. I think now it seems like, whoa, what a smart call. But pre-results, I think it was just a bold call.
Yeah.
Like you said, telling I won't do it is a bold call to make. And he's always been this bold guy. He's been far too bold. He hated MS Dhoni when MS Dhoni was at his peak. Like, so I think he was just one of those guys who boldly decides this is the way I'll do it. And I'll take an L if you throw one at me once I lose. But if I win, I think it's worth me making that bolder call. And this is one of those times it has come through. And I personally think I'll give him proper credit for this, and to a large degree Rohit Sharma as well. Some of the bowling changes today, Varun Chakravarti, Kuldeep, in a few other games earlier as well, I was like, it was like peak IPL Rohit Sharma with his 50 over brain fully tuned up, that is come in to say, no, I've got this game completely in control. You're just going to play to my tunes. It was amazing to watch him go about his voice.
Also, on the subject of Kuldeep, I mean, I've been a fan for a while. He was brilliant to watch in the 2023 World Cup as well, and he was superb here as well. But what was interesting to watch was that it felt like he was bowling a little bit slower than he bowled in 2023. He was flighting the ball a little bit more, and when he gets it to drift, I mean, there is no better sight.
I think interestingly today they said he's found a way to make his action faster by 4 to 5 Ks, where he's worked hard to be able to release this ball itself as the faster one, so that if he does toss it, it goes above your eye level and drops back.
Yeah.
But if you don't, he's able to fire it in without changing his grip itself the other way. So he's actually gotten way more skilled than he was, apart from the fact that he's gotten control over bowling as well. So he's Ashanaying his way through becoming a better spinner.
Day. What? Actually, what? Ashanaying his way.
You spoke of Rohit, the captain, and how his bowling changes today were very astute. What about Rohit, the batter? So he's played in a certain way for almost his entire career. Last 2 years, ever since India lost that, we knocked out of the 22 T20 World Cup, I would say, by England. I think there's been a sea change in the way he's batted. So, Tony G, throwing it back to you. Rohit, the aggressor at top, how has that helped him and the team? Tony G, and
No.
Tony G, since you're on LinkedIn, is there a management lesson for leaders who want to change their leadership style so late in their careers?
This is awkward because I used to love Rohit Sharma. I think he's like stuck on 2 years longer than he should have, despite change of tack and all that. In this tournament, if I'm not wrong, this is the only innings he played with any amount of fluency
Only
/
50.
impact. Yeah, only 50, right? Like, and I feel like as an opening batter from India, if you're not able to score 50s consistently in ODIs, then there's a problem, right? Like, bravado, etc. aside, everyone had a brilliant 2023 World Cup. Let's face it. Like I said, like this team is made to play one-day internationals, right? But if you're looking at replacing him, either with Yashasvi at the top or KL Rahul moving up there and like Sanju Samson coming in, I feel like he's eminently replaceable, right? Like there is nothing that Rohit adds to this team that is not replaceable.
So, apropos,
so much so that
one second. Even as you say this, Rohit Sharma has categorically said that he is not retiring from ODI cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dhoni will continue to play the IPL, right? You Chennai fellows will continue to support him. Like, that doesn't mean. my point is, even as we talk about all the tactical changes that have been made in the Indian team, I'll credit Gambhir with it. Rohit has never stepped up into a captaincy position, right? So much so that it's not even like he wants Kohli in the frame of things, right? Kohli will just come and like do his thing. And Rohit has over a period of time turned into that. Again, this is a like very non-cricketing take. Has turned into that bitter person who can't walk away at the right time. Right, like today, it just felt really awkward watching the camera pointing to Ritika and like her clapping at 50 and all of that. Almost as if this is like a tried and tested formula with Anushka and Kohli, so they also feel like they should be doing it and stuff like that, right? And that whole thing after the test series where Iman Pandey pointed out how Jack is telling Rose as he is thinking Rohit Sharma is the best captain we've ever seen or something like that, right? Like there is far too much show around him for the cool that he originally possessed, right? He was a legit like cool person who's turned into a caricature of what he once was. So no, I'm not a Rohit Sharma fan anymore, unfortunately. I feel like he should go right now. Like if he goes right now, there's a shred of dignity that he can salvage. He's definitely not going to be there in 2027. I mean, has he seen himself in the mirror? Like, please.
I mean, the basic thing is that I think he's lost his defense to some extent, and I don't think he can bat 50 overs. I don't think he has that game anymore. What he will give you right now is a start. That's all.
I think he's one of those players with at his age, his ability to spot the ball is exponentially decreasing during the innings. Like he's always amazing in the beginning. Like he gets those one or two shots off, and you think, wow, how did he spot that and pick that? It was barely short of a length, right? But that skill to be able to do this over a period of time in that innings is not the same, Rohit Sharma. And this from a dude who scored 203 times. 264 runs, which means in the 48th over, after scoring 250, which is a very good average first inning score for close to 50 years in ODI cricket, you are able to score that yourself and you still were hitting sixes at will. That was the kind of skill you were exhibiting at a certain point of time. That Rohit Sharma is way off. But I still, like Tony said, maybe I should leave now.
Yeah, this is amazing because we started off calling this podcast the Gavaskar Allied Podcast. Now Murali is saying something different, that not only is Rohit Sharma not seeing the ball as big as a football as the innings progresses. In fact, it is reducing so much so that he needs a caddy to tell him where the golf ball is. Right, so probably some New Zealander is going to become the richest sports person again by hitting Rohit Sharma. But so to tease out the difference, and this is a very amateur point of view because I am not a cricket expert, is that to me I feel like Kohli has so much more utility because he was never a hand-eye player in that sense, right? Like he always used to never rely on a six hitting. It was always about fitness, running the toes harder than anyone else can. And therefore, that is why I feel like Kohli has relevance to stay on till 2027 just by sheer fitness, hint of will, and ability to contribute just by being on the field and telling things, right? So uh, let's just have a straight shootout like Rohit versus Kohli. Should both of them be retiring right now, or one of them, or none of them? To me, it's very clear. Rohit needs to retire right now. I won't mind Kohli staying on for 2 more years. Of course, I'm a card-carrying member of the Kohli fan club, but like also just like how he's played this tournament, and because we've never spoken about the semi-final, I feel like he's orchestrated those chases really, really well, right? Except today, but otherwise, I feel like Kohli is like so much more value than Rohit can add, and Rohit is very, very replaceable in the scheme
For
of things
sure.
today.
This is not a comparison. I think it doesn't matter. And as somebody who disagrees with you a lot, I'm telling you, I agree with you so much on this point that Kohli should not go out at any point of time soon. Man, that semi-final innings was the playbook on how ODI innings should be played. You're not only just scoring runs, you're setting bowlers off by constantly scoring singles. You're tiring them out by making them constantly run after the ball to pick up one singles and doubles so well. And I can't believe he's 36 years old because he's running like that till the 70th run. 70th run, he'll try to run a third run. After running two, he'll see a small overthrow, he'll try to run halfway through for a third run. And I was like, this is extraordinary ODI cricketing skill that I think is no comparison with Rohit. Rohit is, he got some lucky chances also today, and in the sense that it was not the kind of bowling where they were trying to get him to hit so desperately. If it was, and they made him, a couple of good balls that would hit into the air like he did with head or at the other places, he'd be out and we wouldn't speak about it. So I just think that Rohit definitely is well past his prime. Kohli has some ways to go. He can stay. He should play.
Yeah, all this on a day when he got the man of the match award. Have some shame, guys.
That's fine. That's fine. If you could have people stay for one game, think of the number of Indian players. Razaruddin will still be here. Virendra Sehwag will be holding on for a game. Like those one-off games will come, but Kohli is still giving it consistently.
See, I think the what I'm trying to say is Rohit started out as with the potential to be an all-time great, got there in some senses, but today I rank him at the same level of potential as a Travis Head or a New Zealand, where like if statistics bear out, they should fail more than they'll win. Right? Like and Travis Head and New Zealand gives us so much trauma only because they do so well against us, right? And I think the same but inverse is true for Rohit Sharma in some senses.
I think we took a 9 on 10 team, and I'm saying 9 only because Bumrah was not there. It was that good a team. And I think we got a bunch of 7 to 7.5 on 10 teams. And I think with that, we played what we played. So I think on a good day, Rohit Sharma will be exposed even more. Like if Cummins and Stark opened the bowling with Hazelwood to come in the second spell, I don't know if it was the same Rohit Sharma or the same kind of players who would have played. I think he got some good opportunities and he got good starts, but it may not be enough in this format at least.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're rounding up on an hour. Let's go around the table, do some fun stuff. So I'll start with PDP, then go to Vikku, then go to Murali. PDP, pick either your favorite performance of this tournament or the funniest moment. It can be either on or off the field, right? Because obviously so much has happened off the field as well, including I think South Africa first flying to Dubai, then flying back, or one of those things, right? So, yeah, either your favorite performance or your funniest moment or anything else that you want to talk about from the start.
No, so the funniest moment for me has to be England, man. Has to be England. They got their asses whooped in India and they said, we don't care as long as we beat them in the finals of the Champions Trophy. And oh man, did they stink. I mean,
Well,
so for me,
to be fair, Ben Duckett
yeah.
got one part of that prediction right. Is that India did make it to the final.
No, so for me, that was definitely the most fun part of this tournament was how badly England sucked. I mean, we're always thrilled when they do badly, but I think this was brilliant, even by their standards.
Yeah. But let's chubby it a little bit, right? Because Rob Key, I feel like had words this week.
Huh.
How thrilled
So
were you with Rob Key's
no,
words?
so that's the icing on the cake. So Rob Key says our players are talking a lot of shit in the media, and then he says we are thinking about bringing Ben Stokes back in the ODI cap. Oh my gosh, I love you, England.
Yeah. I feel like Rob Key is actually an opposite description of England's dominance of the world scene for the last 300 years, where they literally robbed keys of anyone who was holding it by sheer imperialism, right? And like they're just coasting on those laurels and getting nowhere
No,
currently,
I mean
whether it is
the
in cricket
man
or
the
in
man
politics.
literally called out his players for talking shit and then proceeded to talk shit himself. I mean that is
Correct.
England in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Absolute nutshell.
Yeah. If a cricketing nation could represent bits and pieces, then it would be.
No, Daddy, come
No,
on.
Daddy, that's
Not England.
we'll
Seriously.
at least be Zimbabwe. Da. England is
Yeah.
just
Anyone but England.
Okay, baby, do you have a favorite performance slash moment on the field? Fuck
he's
it.
trying
Like
not to say Glenn Phillips.
whoever wants to jump in whenever with whatever, please go for
No.
it. Like fuck me.
Kohli's century for me was interesting because he was
Was
really not.
interesting.
Yeah, because he was really not fluent. He was struggling against the spinners. He was quite happy to be off strike. Let's put it that way. And he still found a way to score a century, right? And it was actually something that I was pointing out to my son. We were watching that game together, and I was like, "Look at him. He's actually struggling." And that's a sign of his mastery over the format, that he still scores a century even when he's playing like shit. And he was playing like shit. He was not middling the ball, he was not timing the ball. There was no fluency at all. It was very different from the Kohli that you saw at the Wankhede, right? In the 2023, where he was far more fluent. He was middling the ball, timing it much better. This was very different. This was a struggle. So for me, that was my favorite cricketing performance, I guess.
I can go da. My funniest performance and the greatest performance are very connected da. The funniest performance there is in a Hardik Pandya no ball. Varun Chakravarti tries to go for a catch and with his left leg kicks the ball to a boundary where it was, if he had normally let it fall, it would have been one run at best two. Hardik Pandya's like, this was a free hit. There was no catch there. What were you trying to catch the ball and kick it to the boundary also? That was the funniest moment. And the greatest moment is the redemption arc where at the end of 50 overs with a 5-4 and the ball like this in his hand, Varun Chakravarti is walking back saying, yeah, I think I redeemed myself for being the dumbest guy on the field today. So I think those were my two moments, Tony.
Yeah, no, the allied pinned post from a WhatsApp group is from Bissy, who's talking about how Varun Chakravarti, while having elevated bowling to such a degree, having replaced R. Ashwin, has actually made fielding much worse, if that is possible.
Serious.
Vikku.
You go.
So funniest moment, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but the moment Jaddu hit that boundary against Jamieson, he puts both his hands in the air, is running away and directly rams into Kylie Jamieson. So 2 minutes into his canter, he runs into Kylie Jamieson, apologizes and goes again. So that's the funniest moment for me. The best cricketing memory or collection of memories for me would be the way our spin bowlers have bowled in this tournament. Four amazing spin bowlers. They are so different from each other. Two of them are left arm orthodox but completely different. Aksar hardly spins the ball, varies his pace and all that. Jadeja gives it a proper rip. We have a left arm Chinaman, spins it either ways, and we now have a mystery spinner. So the way these four have bowled the tournament
Who's
is
that?
something which I'll remember for a long time.
That is a mystery, da.
Yeah. So an Agatha Christie novel where there are like four spinners and everyone's being called to the room. And Hercule Poirot was like going to, it is you.
You also tell, Ra. You also tell. Tony.
No, I haven't watched it, but like I want to like just point to a recency bias. When there's a tournament, I believe, in which Bangladesh played at some point. How is there no funniest moment involving Bangladesh? Like, guys, come
Hey,
on.
there was a retirement, Mushfiqur Rahim.
Yeah, actual retirement.
Tony, you were gonna say.
No, no. I think the most memorable of this tournament has to be, as much as I grudgingly gonna say it, is has to be Glenn Phillips' fielding, right? Like, finally, like there is a worthy contender to John T. Rhodes from way back when. Although I still feel like John T is probably higher, given how there was also a Masters tournament happening this weekend. The fucker actually like fielded something in long off, which you were like, wait, isn't he like 60 or something? But Glenn Phillips, man, like amazing, amazing. Although I do feel like this is the hypothesis, right? And there was a video clip where Jadeja was telling Kohli about, I think this is from the previous match, is how Glenn Phillips makes the catch seem more difficult than it is, and I buy into that premise. But the point is, at all points in time, he's so much in control that he's able to sell an extravagant fielding move as if it was spectacular, right? And like at the end of the day, you're watching cricket for or sport in that manner for real magic on the field, right? So yeah, Glenn Phillips extremely watchable, unlike the rest of New Zealand, whether it's Rachin Ravindra or Kane Williamson. I'm not Michael Bracewell. He might win many endorsements in the upcoming contracts that he has, being part of whatever IPL teams. But let's just say Happy Dent or Colgate or anything with teeth in it is not one, because how yellow are his teeth and like what is going on there? Like, please, Kiwi, like brush your teeth properly. But there's only one watchable guy in the New Zealand team, right? And that's Glenn Phillips. And while that is slim pickings, he's so much above the rest that I feel like I have to give it to him. The funniest moment for me was Kuldeep, right? Like, and as much a talented bowler as he's not a natural sports person, right? I feel like if he was born in Madras, would have had 2x the number of YouTube videos that Ashna has, because his brain is what does the real work, right? He's not physically like supposed to be a sports person. So much so that his analysis on football is probably better than his analysis on cricket, right? And there was this great moment where Kohli does the fielding and throws it to Kuldeep, and like he's like, "Oh, am I supposed to catch it or let it go?" And then Rohit catches it, and then like both of them shout at each other, right? And I had this thing where I said basically, yeah, he sold a brilliant dummy like a Barcelona fan, uh, which which Varun today also pointed out how Kuldeep's fielding slash backing up behind the stumps is like he's always trying to catch a batsman offside, right? Like that's so yeah, he is actually the real cerebral mystery spinner from India in that sense. So yeah, Glenn Phillips and Kuldeep Yadav.
Nice.
Okay, last 5 minutes. Anything else you guys want to talk about that caught your attention?
Yeah. No, there's this thing, no, that India have never won an ICC tournament on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
So every single victory has either been a Saturday or a Monday. This is the first time I think we've won on a Sunday. No, I think the 2013 Champions Trophy was on a Sunday. Oh no, by the time it was broadcast in India, it was Monday. So technically, first win on a Sunday.
MPT.
Jyotish level analysis.
In unrelated news, Harry Brook has pulled out of a second consecutive IPL, thereby not allowing himself to be acclimatized to the Delhi AQI. Therefore, I think Rob Key's best bet is to bring back Ben Stokes as captain, because what the fuck? Here's a topic that I want to do. I do want to talk about. I'm going to take about 6 minutes of your time. is that this time, apparently, in the baseball league in the US, they are replacing umpires who generally stand behind the catcher with AI or robots. And like I feel like one of the tremendous leaps in this time's ICC Champions Trophy has been the umpiring, where third umpires actually do things without you realizing it, right? Like, so there are run out calls, etc. Where, like today, for instance, Mitchell Sandner had a direct hit, and he's like, "Why are you sending it upstairs?" And basically, I think Paul Raffel or whoever the on-field umpire was like, "Yeah, I did it," and like it's not right. Like, and you've seen so many of these fast cuts. So, where do you think the future of umpiring is going? Even if it's not AI, I feel like it's been much faster this tournament, right? Like where the turnaround has been superb, and much more accurate, I want to say, except when Joel Wilson was calling a player's review and umpire's review. Please refer to our intro for the correct reference. But what do you think of the umpiring? The less we talk about it means the better it is, and I don't think we've spoken about the umpiring at all this.
100% agree. The less you talk about it, it means it's working better. And I feel like cricket was a little bit behind many other sports, especially given the fact that cricket is a discrete sort of sport, right? There's a stop and a start to every ball.
Are you
As
saying
a
each ball is an independent event,
Indeed,
Prashant?
I'm saying indeed, I am, and I'm saying that it's a discrete event, right? So it's actually much more challenging in games which are continuous flow. So, for example, basketball, they've got an amazing real-time decision review that happens at a center somewhere where
No, it's not a center. It's a truck parked outside somewhere with like servers. Anyway,
yeah, so it's so I'm just saying that cricket has been behind, and you're right. I mean, it saves a lot of time. You don't have this big dramatic umpire drawing a rectangular box and it going upstairs and all that. It's just happening very quickly, and it needs to. I mean, I I think it's a step in the right direction for sure.
yeah. No, and I think the other important thing, which our editor Nitin Sundar also quickly laid testimony to, is the fact that there was at some point today, I think probably the only decision the umpires got wrong was like KL Rahul uh, appealed enthusiastically to a leg side strangle for Rachin Ravindra, which was given out. And then Rachin immediately reviewed it because what the fuck,
Yep.
like it wasn't
Yeah.
anywhere close to it. And so much so that it was obviously down the leg side and it missed everything. So then the third umpire said no, and immediately they corrected it to a wide, which is brilliant, right? I feel like earlier they didn't have the ability to do that, to say, okay, even if it was an out that was reversed to a not out, you wouldn't have given the wide. But now we've given an extra run and an extra ball to New Zealand, despite which they still lost like fucking pussies. But that's okay. But anyway, no, like it's good to see things progressing in the right direction, right? Like let's give credit where credit's due. Murli, as a player in mini leagues, what are your thoughts on umpiring? And like,
I think it's a very difficult thing to master in cricket as just a AI thing. I don't know. The fact that technologically supporting it itself, it took a little while, a significant while. Like India not adopted DRS so much later than most other countries did. I feel like it's a good supplement to what human beings can do. Completely replacing AI in this kind of a sport, just don't see a world where that can ever happen. I don't know anything about baseball, first of all, so maybe if it's just a matter of whether it's a strike or a ball, I think that could be a very simple differentiation. But the nuances for cricket are so much higher. Like there are 100 other non-moving parts. Could hit the helmet, it could go into a cap, or it gets stuck in a tree. So there's so many other things that goes on in this sport that I feel like just completely technologically replacing it, I don't see it happening. And I know the sheer number of fights we will have as a team in my local league if something like that happened, that they put a bot there and said this was LBW, then basically just like a couple of guys will come and whack it with a stump. So it's going to be a tough thing to adopt, but I think it's a welcome change. Like PDP says, it should happen. The way it's implemented is where I think it will significantly matter.
Yeah. Let me ask you about a sport you do know about. Does it work better or worse in football?
Think for football right now, if it's accepted universally. Like it's AI is the one that's deciding if it's a goal line, it's a goal or not. Like there's no human being involved anymore. Apart from the red card fouls, it's a lot of it is being done very well with AI, and I think it's people will accept it completely as the right thing. But that's in terms of it causing significant delay and all the other things that this AI has actually helped save time and make matches more efficient. I just don't think it's an apples to apples comparison with cricket for me. I just feel like it fits more naturally into football.
Oh, no, it's the opposite, right? I mean, I feel like this is where PDP's discrete point comes in, where I think the biggest impediment to it being implemented in football is that it's a continuous sport, right? Like it's not discrete. In the sense that if you want to like stop for something, then like it's like stopping a play, right? Unlike
There
cricket,
is
where
no
you'll be
rock
actually.
and roll, please, and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess first of all, I have no idea as a player in football. I don't know how the players feel about this kind of AI based judgment. But as a player, I just don't know if I'll ever be able to adopt it that quickly into cricket at all. Like I don't see myself. It's a very personal choice. I think it'll be hard for me, especially as a bowler. And I know that it objectively feels like it's definitely going on to hit stumps, and this box there says not out. I just am pretty pissed off with the box.
Yeah. Vikku, as the best bowler, best batter, and best umpire all at the same time in the Lodha Cup, what are your thoughts on umpiring decisions made by unbiased humans slash algorithms?
So I think the current elite panel of umpires is fairly good, and therefore the quality of umpiring at the highest level is top notch.
Uh,
One of
so
the
you are
places,
excluding Joel Wilson from this, like.
yeah, barring him. Uh, I think one of the places where this will be of great use would be at the first class level, where some of the umpiring is usually suspect, and there's also a sense of unfairness to some of the calls. So I think at the first class level, replacing these umpires with AI would be a welcome.
Yeah, this is amazing, right? Like because like bringing it back to the philosophical tag, there is this line that says at some point during your childhood you went out to play with your friends for the last time and you didn't even realize it. Like half the fun of childhood cricket, I would say 90% of it was the umpiring clashes, right? Like is it a wide? Is it not a wide? Is it a no ball? Is it not a no ball?
Yeah.
How many bowls were balled? What is the score? All of these things suddenly.
Yeah.
What is it? Is cricket a diversion or is it a profession? And where do we cross the line? And why is bits and pieces right in the middle of all of this? Where yeah, on that beautiful non-response from the rest of the panel, we shall conclude this episode of Bits and Pieces, where like the unrequited response is in fact what keeps driving us. So please do not comment on this podcast. Do not share it with a friend. Do not subscribe to it. In fact, if you've subscribed, please unsubscribe. like, so that we will continue to do this because what we're chasing is not your validation. We're chasing you invalidating us so we can become better versions of ourselves. On that note, these are very four imperfect men signing off, starting with me, Tony, Vikku, Prashant, and Murli. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Also, India won, so maybe celebrate a little. It's okay. Bye.